and speak to Hashem. I always speak to Hashem. I just got here now to the podcast. I was supposed to drive an hour and a half. It took 2.5 hours.
Wow.
I spoke to Hashem on the way. I says, help me Hashem, I should get there on time. I got
Personal
here on
prayer.
time. Yeah, thank you that I got here on time. We have to create a relationship with Hashem. We're not just going through the road. We're not just doing. Hashem doesn't want just that we should do. He wants the connection.
Baruchim Habaim and welcome to Torah Talks, Chazaq's program with special guests. We have with us Rabbi Yaakov Singer all the way from Lakewood, New Jersey. Baruch haba. Welcome, Rabbi.
Welcome.
Thank you very much for joining us.
Thank you for the invitation.
Of course, we're going to be speaking about spiritual inspiration, which is something the Rabbi has been working on for quite some time. If the Rabbi could give us a little bit of background about yourself and the great work you're involved with.
Happy to do so. So, as a young child, I grew up in Borough Park. There were no yeshivas then. My mother started the Yeshiva Rabbi Yaakov of Navardik in order to ensure that we had the proper education. It was only a few years after the Second World War. And after graduating there, my parents took their Ben Yochid. I was only 13 years old. They shipped me off to Telz, Wycliffe, Ohio, to put me on a bus. And there I spent my high school years, 1 or 2 years in Beis HaMedrash over there, at which time I studied to be a Moir Mechanech B'Yisrael, and under the guidance of the program that they had there, and afterwards Rav Gift and Rabbi Sorotskin, ordained that aspect. And after that, I moved on to Eretz Yisrael to study under Hagoiner of Chaim Pinchas Scheinberg Shlita, Yeshiva of Torah, or
Zatal.
Zatal was my Rebbe Muvik. He was already my father's Rebbe, and the relationship that I had with him is a lifetime. He was my Rebbe, he was my Masada Kedushin, and he was my children's Masada Kedushin, and he was my Nickel Sandik, and he stayed in my home. And
Rav Scheinberg is known for the mitzvah of tzitzis.
Mitzvahs of tzitzis, yeah, absolutely. And I even wrote a whole pamphlet of things that I experienced in the times that he stayed in my home. It's on my website, RabbiYaakovSinger.com, which is unbelievable stories of this great tzaddik, just to watch him in action. And while I was there, in learning under his guidance, I moved on back to America. I got married. Then he wanted me to come back to Eretz Yisrael to be in the koil. So I went back to be in his koil. This was in 1973 during the Yom Kippur War. Wow. And at that time, I translated the Evan Shleima from the Vilna Gaon, which is known in English as the Vilna Gaon Views Life. And many thousands of copies were printed by Feldheim, distributed all over the United States. And after that, I returned to the United States. I continued to learn a koil. Then I wound up being a Rebbe in Torah Temima for a couple of years. Then I moved on to be a Rebbe in Yeshiva Karl in Stolen for a couple of years. And then a business opportunity presented itself was to support a family at that time on $8,000 a year with getting paid 2 months late. Didn't exactly work. So in the afternoon, I tried to do something, and they wish to give siyata to Shemai, and then I was challenged what to do, to stay or to leave or to do part-time.
To do chinuch or to go to the workforce.
And I tried to do both, and then I felt I'm not doing it honestly and truthfully anymore. I went to Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky, Zechariah Levrocha. I asked him what to do. He said to me, not always in a person's life does opportunity strike, many times. Sometimes Hashem sends an opportunity only once, and if you don't take it, you don't get it again.
Wow.
So he advised me then to grab the opportunity, and, I did what he said. And then, during that time, I kept my shaykhs with Gedolim Rabbanim. I did writing, did speaking, and did in Avodas HaKodesh, so to say. And after I retired, some years ago, I founded the Chiyas organization. And the Chiyas organization basically has 4 initiatives: 2 spiritual, to help promote spirituality in Klal Yisrael, going beyond ritual practice to be more spiritual connection. And then there's 2 initiatives to help financially. One of them is to help mishpachos in crisis situations, which we've been doing for many, many years. I'll tell you one great story here, which people who hear this see the Yad Hashem, they see the hand of Hashem. When I went into business, I got an order from a public utility for 3,000 items. And I said, why should I go someplace else? They should manufacture it for me. I figured out how to manufacture it myself. My wife, my children, my mother-in-law, everybody was involved in the manufacturing. And the profit was astronomical. It was more than 3 times what I was making as a Rebbe. If you could imagine, it was not stam. And all of a sudden, 2 years later, I get a call. They want to return 2,700 pieces.
Oh, wow.
I says, 2,700 pieces? So I said, you can't return this now. It's 2 years later, and already the technology changed. But I was wondering, how could it be you order 3,000, you want to return 2,700? So I called up, and I asked the purchasing department. They said, listen, we needed to order 300. By mistake, we ordered 3,000. Everything went onto the shelves. Now we were doing inventory. We found we have 2,700 pieces extra, so we want to return it. So I said to myself, Rabbi Shalom, there's a secretary. In those days, there was no computers and so on. There was typewriters. So she's typing out this purchase order. And then the Eibishter sends a malach. Hashem sends an angel and gives her pinky 1 tip, and she hits an extra 0. Because on Rosh Hashanah, Hashem goes ahead and he writes down exactly how much every person is going to have in their lifetime. And here, a mamish saw out of nowhere, the Eibishter went and sent a bracha which helped be Makayim, the bracha that Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky gave me.
Wow.
To be matzliach,
Be successful.
So that was, and then after that, we did the Chiyas organization. We founded that, and then with that came, the 2 initiatives, lefanacha.com, increasing the awareness of Hashem's presence, knowing Hashem's presence, feeling Hashem's presence, the different levels in lefanacha, and the project of truthful Jewish living. And one thing led to the other thing, we created a website, so now we have the website, lefanacha.com, lefonecho.com, and truthfuljewishLiving.com. One, to increase awareness, one, create spirituality. And I just released a few weeks ago another website to be able to help all Jews of all denominations, so to say, which is RabbiYaakovSinger.com. It's got 20 different subjects on there. Nusach and Tefillah, inspirational stories, and Ashgacha, and Eretz Yisrael, and Holocaust. Shiurim, anything you want is on there, which is amazing. Many people are on this right now.
Rabbi Singer, I must say, I'm very, very, very impressed. All these initiatives, all these projects, full of energy. Chiyas. That's the name of the organization, right?
We're trying, yeah. And now we're making even a sefer on the Lefanecha, which duplicates the website for those that don't go on the internet, that they should be able to benefit from the insights of Lefanecha.
Amazing. Okay, so Rabbi, talking about spiritual inspiration, most people, they're focusing about how to increase in doing more mitzvot and doing more good. But how can we improve upon bringing Hashem's presence, God's presence, back into the performance of mitzvahs? When we do a mitzvah, there should be a Kadosh Baruch Hu, there should be kavanah, there should be concentration. It shouldn't just be robotic.
So one of the things is, we have to imagine to ourselves, if we received a letter, let's say from the President of the United States, and we got the letter, and we're looking at the letter, and we don't understand exactly what this letter is. So what would we do? We'd run around all over to try, somebody should explain to you. What does the letter say? What does the president want? What have you?
What does he mean?
Klal Yisrael received a letter. The greatest gift to humanity. Klal Yisrael received the Torah. Hashem gave the Torah to us. What does the king enjoy most? If we're interested in his letter, we're interested in what he has to say. And the more we are interested in Hashem Yisbarach, the more we're interested in Hashem, the more we're interested in what he has to say. And once we start to study what pleases Hashem, then we realize that doing a mitzvah, we're not doing Hashem a favor. That mitzvah is an opportunity. Every Jew has to view a mitzvah. This is an opportunity. This is a gift that Hashem gave to Klal Yisrael. Every time I do a mitzvah, I have the ability to connect with Hashem, to become close to Hashem. It's like father, our children, and our parents, when our children do what we would like to see them do or ask them to do, the father, mother's nachas. Hashem also deserves nachas from us. Why? Hashem gives us every single day life and all the wonderful things we have, family and the ability to serve Him. So why is Hashem different than we are? And therefore, if we concentrate on pleasing Hashem and trying to visualize that every time I do a mitzvah, I put kavayachol, a smile on Hashem's face. If we can imagine, which child doesn't like to see the parents smile when they do something? Everyone. We have to imagine our Father in heaven. He's looking down on us. He gives us the breath of life, and we do what He wants. I'm so proud of you. And we know if you make a father proud, okay, what happens after that? The father, it's mida keneged mida,
measure for measure.
Upon him.
The father will want to give more to the child.
Right. And we say this. We say this every single day in davening. What does Hashem want? Hashem wants, like we say in Chazaq,
God wants our hearts.
Hashem wants our hearts. Why did Avram Avinu get the first bracha? So the Navi reveals in the name of Hashem, Hashem says, I found his heart, Naaman, Lifanecha. It was not just Naaman, it was Lifanecha. That Hashem said to Avram Avinu, Halach Lefanai, walk before me, and he did that. And the Navi is mad that Avram Avinu's entire life, Hashem says, Naaman, Lifanecha. He lived always with awareness of Hashem's presence. So, if we keep this in our mind, so now we're saying, okay, and I go with the people and say, what do you have in mind when you say, so everybody still to you, my heart said, seek my presence. I'm asking Hashem to seek my presence. Does that make sense? It makes no sense. I looked closely, and Rashi says on the words l'cha, it's not translated to you, but it's shlichuscha. David HaMelech is saying, I received the message from you, Hashem. What was the message I received from you, Hashem? L'cha, there was a message, Amalibi, my heart told me the message. Hashem sent it to his heart. What was the message? Bakshu Ponai, seek my presence. That's what Hashem wants. That's number one. The Rambam says, the first mitzvah is that to know Hashem, v'yadat hayoim, v'shavoi salav. You shall know Hashem. So if Melch hears these things, that's what you want from me. Bakshu Panai, I should seek your presence. So he says right away, Es panecha Hashem avakesh. I will seek your presence. And after he says that, then he says, Al tasta panecha mimeni. If Hashem, you want me to seek your presence, and I agreed to seek your presence, so now don't hide your presence from me. So the greatest segula to avoid hester ponim is Es panach Hashem avakesh, to the extent that we seek to connect to Hashem's presence, to be aware of His presence, to be aware that everything that's going on is through Him. To that extent, we avoid hestepon.
Powerful.
And this is the reason why we say in davening every day by Oleinu. We say it quickly. Oleinu, half the Olam is already out sometimes, but we need to focus. V'yadata hayoim. You shall know today. Vashavos elavavecha. And you should drive it into your heart. You should internalize this. Kashem Elokim. Ein oid. Ever there's nothing besides him. That's what we say it every single day. Yeshua ben Nun was mechaber tefillah. This is the most important thing that we need to know. And this goes to the 6 mitzvahs to midias. The six constant mitzvahs that we're supposed to do. One of them is v'dafka, to attach to him. And how do you attach to him? You have to become close to Hashem. That's kirvas elokim. David HaMelech said, kirvas elokim li tov. The best thing is kirvas elokim, to be close to Hashem. Oh. So if we focus, so you're asking a question here. If we focus much more on our tefillah, slowly, what the words mean, and it penetrates our hearts, we will create a certain attachment and a closeness to our Kadosh Baruch Hu. That's how you get this devekas, but it can't happen if you come late to shul. It can only happen if you come on time. But then you're not in a rush. You're able to focus slowly on the words.
Amazing.
And it's also good to verbalize constantly, and speak to Hashem. I always speak to Hashem. I just got here now to the podcast. I was supposed to drive an hour and a half. It took 2.5 hours.
Wow.
I spoke to Hashem on the way. I says, help me, Hashem, I should get there on time.
Personal
I got here on
prayer.
time. Yeah, thank you that I got here on time. We have to create a relationship with Hashem. We're not just going through the road. We're not just doing. Hashem doesn't want just that we should do. He wants the connection.
The relationship. To have that connection, 100%.
The connection.
So that leads me to the next question, which is how can we practically grasp the concept that Hashem is everywhere? It's lefanecha, sheviti Hashem nanegdit. I mean, to have Hashem in front of us at all times.
So that's a wonderful question. So for that concern, we created lefanecha magnets. Okay.
To remind us
that we, in the world that we live in today, there's so much distractions and so many things that take us away, and we get engrossed in our everyday mundane
life. How does
life.
one get a magnet? What's it called?
If they go to the website lefanecha.com, lefoncho, they can order a magnet, or they can send a request to 14 Belvedere Lane, Belvedere Lane in Lakewood, and we're more than happy to send them magnets and even the Lefanecha Shir on a USB, on a CD, for all those that don't, use the internet. And then there'll be a safer now on the website, but really, a person that wants to get to what the Rav is saying, they need to really study in depth the Chayvas Halvavas, the first 2 chapters of Shar Yichud and Shar Bechina. Over there, you understand how Hashem runs the world, how Hashem conducts the world, what is the creation of Hashem, what is Hashem's expectation of us. And the Chavos Avava says clearly that we are supposed to zero in into all of Hashem's creations. We walk through in the spring. We walk through, do we stop and say, wow, look at this beautiful flower Hashem, look at the beautiful colors Hashem created.
Marabu Masech Hashem.
Maram Masech Hashem.
How wondrous is your creation.
Right. We don't stop to think that it didn't happen. On my website now, I put a whole section there of witness to creation, that we should chap what the Chavos Halvavos is saying, and many different nice pictures over there, that if you look at that, you say, this can't happen by itself. There has to be a creator. And if we say every day, and everybody should try to say every day, the Ani Mamins, especially the first one, Ani Mamin B'nu Shalem, I believe, with a full belief, Shabayr is Baruch Shema, who Boire, he's the creator, Umanagol Chalabrom, he conducts everything, Osava, Oisava, Yasa, he did, he does, and he will do. These are the kind of things that amaoir us, that raise our awareness. It doesn't hurt also if we make a gratitude list, if we write down every day, every week, what can I thank Hashem for? And we will find that when we do that, there are a lot of things happened in everybody's life that we know it could not have happened unless Hashem got involved. You see Hashgacha Pratis. In my website, I put down there umpteen stories of clear Hashgacha Pratis, that it's not shaykh only with Hashem's intervention. And when we know that, so this, and we become mindful of this, then it creates this devekus in a relationship. So when we say L'moshel and Moedim, we can't fly by that. We need to stop. Oh, I want to thank you for this thing my child almost got hurt, my wife almost did, I almost got. It's happening constantly, and this is the way that we become, attached to HaKadosh Baruch Hu. As we make Hashem real in our life, it's not an abstract thing. He's part and parcel of everything that I do.
Does the rabbi have any stories to bring out the concept of lefanecha?
Sure, but I just want to tell you, it's also very, very important to read Hashgacha Prata stories. Yeah. Very important. That will help out. It gives
a lot of chizuk, a lot of inspiration.
And when we think about the history of Klal Yisrael, that we still survived all these years, all these generations,
persecution, and
Holocaust, and that the Jewish nation still exists, and we know then that the Jewish people are true. Now, many times what stops a person from doing Hashem's will is, how do I know? But when you see the history of Klal Yisrael, and you see that we're still here, one nation out of 70 nations, and we still exist, and all the prophecies took place, and everything that's going on, we know that this is the truth. Now, when I know it's the truth, so then I have a certain obligation to serve the truth. I mean, everybody wants to live with the truth. That's why we have truthfuljewishLiving.com. We should realize the truth, So you asked me for some stories. So if you go on the Lefanecha website, I put 35 testimonials there of people that tell me how they were affected by, this Torah Lefanecha. And, if a person really wants to understand the Torah Lefanecha, they have to spend an hour quietly and upload this into their mind. And this is the strongest filter that exists. So when I was by Rabbi Yaakov Kamenetsky, not Rabbi Shmuel Kamenetsky, and I explained to him this Torah Lefanecha, he said to me, Rabbi Yaakov, you have to spread it all over the Jewish world. I want to tell you what happened. I procrastinated. I didn't listen to him. Because I said, who am I? Mm-hmm. I'm going to talk about awareness of Hashem's presence. I'm working on it myself, I procrastinated, but every time I said it over to Rav, to Hasidic Rebbe, to Rosh Hashiva, they were ma'arim me. I said it over to people that were ma'arim me. So one day, I'm focusing on the Yom Rishon that we say, the Yom. And I said this so many times. For this day, I happen to be concentrating. And over there it says, Zedor Dorshav. This is the generation of seekers. Mevakshe Panecha, who seek Hashem's presence. Yaakov Sela. That was my name. I says, oh my gosh. It says over here, Zedor Dorshav. This is the generation. Right now, Mevakshe Panecha, who seek the presence of Hashem, Yaakov. And I saw my name there. I said, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, I surrender. And after that, I went full force. I gave it my time, my energy, my gesund, because if it's the truth, then I have to pursue the truth. So, how did it come to Lefanecha, right? You want a story. So, it's some Gedalia, I'm davening. I'm saying, Avinu Malkeinu, Chatanu Lefanecha. Our Father, a King, we sinned before you. So I said, what do you need Lefanecha there for? Avinu Malkeinu, our Father, King, Chatanu, we sinned. Enough. Why need Lefanecha?
It's superfluous.
Worse than the sin that we do is the sin of Lefanecha, of doing it in Hashem's presence. If I'm in the King's presence and he wants me to do A, how could I do B? I'm in his presence. Hashem is Meloch Chalartz Kavoda. We say it in Kedusha, Meloch Chalartz Kavoda. How could I go ahead and violate that? That's how it started. And over a 2-year process, I focused on Lefanecha. And I found Lefanecha all over. It's superfluous. Most of the places you'll see it, it doesn't need to be there. Everything is understood perfectly without it. It's there to tell us in the schus of Lefanecha or for the sin of lefanecha. I'll give you an example. Hachzireinu b'teshuva shleima.
Lefanecha.
I need lefanecha for, because you have to do tshuva on the lefanecha part. That we did a transgression, and it was right in front of you. We're going to say Yom Kippur al chet. You'll notice all the al chet chetonu lefanecha. Why do you do lefanecha? It's al chet chetonu. Levidu peh. And you had to go. What have you do lefanecha for? Because everything starts with lefanecha. And the person will go through the website and they'll look at this thing. They'll see that everything is circled around lefanecha. You said tachton today. Arachim v'chan chatasi. Why is that not enough? You say chatasi lefanecha. In your presence. And you'll see throughout Torah, throughout Novi, throughout Tefillah, this aspect of lefanecha. When we say in Hoidu, the Melech says to us, Bakshu Ponov Tomid. Clear, we say it every day. Seek his presence constantly. That's what it is. That's the message of Hashem. So that was the story. So what happens here? So I walk into a shul one evening, and a young man, 40 years old, comes over and says, Rabbi Zingar, I heard lefanecha shir. I want you to know I was driving down the highway, and I was going to do an Aveira. I don't know what Aveira. He didn't tell me what Aveira. He was going to do an Aveira. And he said, I remember, I heard the lefanecha. He says, in front of Hashem, I'm going to do this? How can I do this? So he turned around, he said, and he went back home.
Wow.
At a Rosh Koil, I said, listen to the lefanecha shir. So he procrastinated. So finally he listens. He comes to me one morning. He says, Rabbi Zingar, I listened to the shir. Then I listened the second time in my car. Then I listened the third time. He says, now that I listened, could you give me 20 CDs? This week, when I give out the koil checks, I'm giving out a CD with the koil checks. Okay. Another young man comes over from Lakewood, says, I heard the lefanecha shir. He says, Rabbi Zingar, this is pekuach nefesh. He says, everybody has to hear this. How come I wasn't taught this before? He says, could you give me 50 CDs? I'm giving it to everybody that I know. And I could go on with this stories and stories. As a Rosh Koil, there's a Rosh Koil. I told him the Torah started lefanecha. He comes over to me next morning after Shachris. He says, I never davened Shachris in my life like today. He said, I was crying for the first time in my life. I'm 70 years old. He says, I was crying to Hashem because I felt his presence. I was in a shul, the Rebbe was giving an halacha shir. I asked him, why are you giving this halacha shir? He says, don't you know you have to know halacha? I says, why? He says, it's a Shulchan Aruch. There's a code of law, you have to know it. I says, why? So he says, because Chazaq said you have to know halacha. I said, that's not the reason. The reason is lefanecha. Because if I am in the presence of Hashem, so how could I violate his will right in front of him? If Hashem wants me to do this, I'm going to do something else. So lefanecha means, that's why I learn halacha, because I'm in his presence. I don't want to go against Hashem right when Hashem is over there. It makes no sense when we think about it.
Beautiful gems, Rabbi Yaakov.
So
love it very, very, very much.
So I'll tell you another thing on the Truthful Jewish Living side, right? So a Rebbe hangs up posters. One of the posters says,
One of the things the rabbi does is he prepares beautiful posters reminding us of different positive things to do. And so one of the Rebbeim put up a poster. Okay.
And one of the posters says, don't just study Torah, live Torah. So the Rebbe sends me a letter. He says, you wouldn't believe what happened. The kids are fighting in the classroom. And I walked in, and I see that one of the groups of boys that are fighting says to the other group, don't just learn Torah, live Torah. And they stop fighting. And they stop fighting.
La hamidrash ha'ikar
ela
hamaz.
And they stop
The
fighting.
learning is not the meaning,
So
but
there's,
the actions.
so the 60 posters on Truthful Jewish Living that people could view. Rebbes and Morris can print it out and hang it in the classrooms. They can hang it in the hallways.
Inspiring messages.
And you can go to the website and print out a poster every week if you like. Hang it up in your shul. You can send messages to your friends, and every Yid could become a Mabit star like that.
Mizakis Harabim. Rabbi Yaakov Singer, I must tell you, spiritual inspiration. I'm getting the inspiration. It's definitely ruchnis. It's definitely spiritual. We have a minhag. We have a custom on our Torah Talks. Chazaq Torah Talks is a final message from the rabbi.
So, the final message that I would like to share is, number one, everybody should visit if you have
Computer access.
Computer access. I don't know exactly what you call it. I'm not familiar. To visit and to study carefully and slowly all the information that is on lefanecha.com and truthfuljewishliving.com.
How does one spell Lefanecha one more time?
Lefonecho. Lefanecha.com and truthfuljewishliving.com. Why truthful Jewish living? Because we say Vitali Benu. Purify our heart that we should serve you be'emes. So why don't we do it? But now we've established Ki Hashem Elokim emes. Once you know Hashem is emes, Udvorch emes, you know everything in Torah is 100% true. Okay, because we see everything has happened. So now we can go ahead and serve him be'emes. And also that these websites that were created is a tool for Klal Yisrael. That anybody for the rest of their life could be a Ma'abitz Torah. You go on these websites, share it, spread it, share the information, spread the information. We say every day, Lilmed Ulalamed. It's not just enough till you have to teach. Everybody has to teach. How does a person teach? Hook somebody up on the website, send them a clip, send them a message. And if they're inspired, you're a Lalamed. So I believe that that's very, very important. We need to sync our ritual practice with spiritual connection. We should not just think we're going through the motions. Hashem said, an ox knows its master. Ami lo yado. My nation doesn't know me. Hashem wants that we should know of him, not just go through the process of studying Torah. That's not enough. In Birchas HaTorah we say, Kolonu yoidei shemecha v'lomdei sarasecha. Yodei Shemech even comes before Lomdei Sarasecha. We need to recognize that there's an Eibush in the world, that he is running every single thing that's going on, whether we realize it or not.
Amazing.
I think it's very important everybody should upload the Lefanecha Shir into their mind. Like we have, many programs, guard your speech and guard your eyes, but we got to guard our mind. Mm-hmm. How do we guard our mind? Lefanecha is a code word. We're trying to make it that just like there's a word bashert, there's a word of lefanecha. Lefanecha means I'm aware of Hashem's presence. And if we're zocha, then we can become to know Hashem's presence. We start to feel Hashem's presence, which is a higher level, which takes work. It doesn't happen 1, 2, 3. It's, it takes a little bit of time. I discovered that in Haftarah Vayechi, by chance, that David HaMelech is giving his tavot to Shlomo HaMelech. And he's telling him exactly what Hashem wants him to do. And he coins it in 3 words. And if we can remember these 3 words, it's going to go a long way. Lo leches, lefonai, be'emes. And when I saw that, I said, oh my gosh. Lo leches, lefonai, that's lefanecha. Be'emes, that's truthful Jewish living. And I said, look at the Siyata Deshmaya, that these 2 spiritual websites and initiatives that we created is the message that David HaMelech gave to Shlomo HaMelech. Laleches lefanai be'emes. This is where our focus is. We have that correct. Then our Torah is different. Then our mitzvahs is different. Then everything that we do is different.
It's mamish going to be a game changer, B'ezrat Hashem, for a person to get involved, to check it out.
So now they can order USBs, CDs, magnets, posters, okay, and we ship it out for free, either online, or they can send a request to Rabbi Yaakov Singer at gmail.com, or they can send a letter to 14 Belvedere Lane, Lakewood, New Jersey. We're happy to send out to them.
Amazing, Rabbi Yaakov Singer. Amazing.
So, and then I want to say that, if the people can print out posters and hang them in their shuls and send it out, that's a wonderful thing. And people can join a worldwide community chat that we have, Spiritual Inspiration. If they send an email, they can get on that. We send out, a few times a week, beautiful things.
Reach out to Chazaq as well. We'll be more than happy to help navigate to all these different the
end of the day is Hashem wants our connection. He wants our devotion. He wants us to feel close to him. He wants service from the heart. Doesn't want us just to go through the motions. And that if we get used to speaking to Hashem and creating a relationship with Hashem, And when we say the words V'yadata Yom Shavos El Vavecha Kashem Olakim, that we should know Hashem, and we do these things, and then Hashem is going to help us. That when that we'll come to the realization that in Od Milvado, that there's nothing but Him, and once we know in Od Milvado, then automatically we're going to serve Hashem. Ivdus Hashem b'simcha. We'll serve Him with simcha. B'chol avavenu, b'chol nafshenu, b'chol madenu. Hashem should help that we should be zocheh to serve Him b'simcha and to see the Geula Shleima.
Amen. Yishakach Rabbi Yaakov Singer. Beautiful words of inspiration, words of chizuk, spiritual inspiration. That was the title of today's Chazaq Torah Talks. Want to thank the Rabbi for those beautiful words of inspiration. I want to thank all of our friends for the various different platforms that host Chazaq Torah Talks, Torah Anytime. Thank you very much. To Daily Giving, $1 a day goes a very far way. We encourage everyone to check it out. To the entire Chazaq staff and team, the most amazing and dedicated team in the world, amazing work that they're doing. Baruch Hashem, thank you very much. Tanata Behar behind the camera. We remind all of our friends every single Tuesday night, Chazaq Torah Talks with special guests, 8:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, chazaq.org, chazaq.org/live. Please share with family, friends, and neighbors. Please continue the amazing feedback that we've been getting. We really appreciate it. Baruch Hashem, info@chazaq.org, info@chazaq.org. And message we should all be zocheh, like the Rabbi said, to see the Geula Shleima, the complete redemption, to serve Hashem with happiness, b'simcha, and we should it should happen b'merav in our days. Amen, amen.
Amen.
Beautiful, beautiful. Wow. You inspired me very much.